What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Veteranos Corner. And yeah, I got a new one for y'all. And I want to talk about today the rules, the unspoken rules of graffiti. I was building on the other video I had made about Are You a Toy? And I started to think about some of the things that actually make and qualify people as a toy. But realistically, I started to think about it, it's really all about the unspoken rules between us writers that pretty much make you what you do and don't want to be in this game. This is the agreed, unspoken graffiti rules that we all run by. There's a lot of people who are ready to jump out on me right now and say, nah, ain't no damn rules, man. There's motherfucking rules, okay? And if you really think about it, some of these ones you would probably want for other people to observe it yourself. And guess what? I'm gonna talk about these ones so at least they heard it from Mr. Totem and didn't hear it from no faceless ass dude or something like that talking about, yeah, you ain't supposed to do this, you ain't supposed to do that. Who the fuck is you? All right, I'm gonna tell you exactly who it is, and it's coming from me, Mr. Totem. All right. So some of the things are pretty obvious, and you may say, well, man, who doesn't know that, man? Yeah, and some people, they don't fucking know for some reason. Maybe they grew up in Nebraska or something like that, and they didn't grow up in a metropolitan city, and they don't know that some of these are just straight up rules. They got themselves on a Greyhound bus and twig in their mouth and country as a chicken coop and decided to hop on and show up in some major city and just, spray their visual mediocrity all over the walls, and this is the result. They end up getting rode over, they end up getting buffed, they getting painted over, and then all of the other extras that happen for real graffiti writers ends up happening to them. And some of these are pretty straightforward rules that you probably should already be aware of, and they didn't know. So obviously, first and foremost is to watch who you go over. Okay, so maybe you don't get out much. Maybe you're just trying to hit the street and you're trying to get your name up and you're trying to find your way, where the heartbeat of the city is, and you're trying to go over and you don't know. You see a lot of graffiti around, maybe you're young, you don't know, and you see, like, maybe I could go over here. Well, you better make sure what you go over is not something that's a vet or someone that's a certified writer. So you really need to pay attention to who and what you go over. And it's hard to do. I don't recommend this. And, a lot of these rules, they're not in a specific order. But this one, you have to really look and decide, well, does this look not so good that to where I could go over it? Well, some of these other rules will actually help you discern some of those, this first one. First way to decide, right, is to discover whether the names you're going over, it's probably better for you to not to go over any names if you can. Try and find virgin spots. Try and find spots that are just kind of out of the beaten path, because realistically, if other certified writers haven't gone over it already, gone to that spot rather, it's probably not that great of a spot, which is a good start for a beginner. So finding a spot that's not exactly the best of spots is usually not going to have anyone's name over there, so you probably aren't going to go over anyone and cause yourself any unneeded headache. So start there. Find a spot that doesn't really have anyone's name over. Next, since you're looking for spots like that, you got to really take a moment. You got to use your eyes, y'all, and look at what exactly you're painting on. Okay. Well, if I'm painting on a spot that doesn't have anyone's name on it, well, maybe it's actually not a good spot. Maybe it's good for you, but not a good spot. Well, why is it not a good spot? First and foremost, don't go over anyone's house. Don't go over houses. Don't go over, you know, you know, maybe even like some of these things like an old folks home or any kind of thing that's like a public housing. Don't go over that. Don't go on that, rather. You know, that's really gonna bring problems to you, because now you're riding on people's, you know, home, man. You know, these people, they're gonna try and find you. When you involve the general public, like, you know, personally, that's when, yeah, man, you're gonna look for somebody that can come and whoop your little ass. You understand what I'm saying? You go over there and you write on someone's house, their little garage door, if they're even lucky enough to have a garage, and next thing you know, guess what's gonna happen? You understand? So don't do that. Yeah, another one that's kind of goes along with the don't paint on people's houses is, you know, hey, look, don't paint on people's cars, all right? Like, I know you've seen some random photos or whatever online of people just, you know, like, I'm going wicked, man. I'm just going to go ahead and paint all over it's a Cybertruck. I'm going to paint something on it. Hey, man, check this out, man. Again, it goes back to the house, like, don't paint on people's houses thing, because, you know, the minute you really start getting the general public involved, that's when they're going to start calling cops, man. When they start calling cops, then the pressure going to get put on you. If you're painting on cars, motorcycles, somebody's stuff like that, man, don't even paint on don't paint on the churches either, man. You know, these are the places where good regular people are, you know, they're just, this is their stuff, you know, like, this is their world. This is something that means something personal to them. Like, you're gonna involve people. Now citizens are gonna call the cops on you, and then you're gonna find yourself in a real tough spot where you're gonna find out really what you made of, and then go, oh shoot, now some of these weak kids out there for doing something dumb like that in the first place, then they find themselves snitching. And of course, you know, when it comes to that, you know, don't do that. Don't you snitch. If you're going to be out there doing illegal activity and stuff like that, which is part of this art form, then you ain't going to say a word to nobody, or else face the consequences. So in the process of, you know, discerning what exactly you're going on, you're going to see that, okay, most of the places you're going to end up are in spots where other riders have painted on and stuff like that. You're going to find, you know, bridges or, you know, little underpasses or little places like that, or abandoned warehouse sides and things like that. So at this point, you're going to run across other riders. So you have to make sure that if you end up going over maybe another rider's tag or something like that, you have to observe kind of the basic rules where, you know, you can get a tag if there's nothing on it. And if there's a tag on it, then you can do a throw up over it. Now, you cannot do a hollow over a tag. You have to do a fill-in, so 2 colors minimum. So throw up over a tag. Then over a throw up, it will have to be a straight letter or better. Font, straight letter, tick-tock block, but no matter what, to go over a fill-in throw up, you have to make sure that you have done like a little bit more involved of a letter approach. So it being straight letter, font, you know, script, 2 to 3 colors more, that's a minimum. And then over that, to go over that, you'd have to do a minimum of a style, like a piece. Now, if you rock a piece over it, it's got to be 3 to 4 colors and stuff like that, and a minimum with some elements of style over it. It can't just be a font block and all this kind of stuff. Well, you know, debatable in some respects. It's just a real rudimentary idea of how this works. And then finally, if you go over a piece, you got to go over with a straight up wicked burner or something like that. Now, that's the basic elements of it. You know, you got a tag, a throw up can go over a tag, a straight can go over a throw up, and a piece can go over a straight, and then a burner can go over a piece. So that's basically how it works. But where you do it at? Where? Like, if you do that, you know, in the said alleyway, or if, you know, in the side of a warehouse and stuff like that, and someone's name is over it, make sure you're observing that basic rule. And most of the times, you're not going to have any problems with that. Now, you know, the one big thing is, even if it's a tag, whose name it is, if it's somebody who's a G in the game, you know, it may be best if you're going to go over them, maybe hook them up in the corner, you know, maybe drop a little, you know, piece two, you know, whatever his name is in the corner, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Any vet would understand. Any vet that sees you do that, you earn a little bit of respect by doing that. The little homie hooked me up in the corner, and all right, you know, let that ride. He put some effort into there. Yeah. Now after that, at that point, you probably have already done a few of these kind of things like that. So you're doing pieces here and there, right? Now, maybe at this point in time, you figured out who not to go over, but the actual act of piecing becomes a little bit more fun to you, right? But sometimes I see a lot of these youngsters go out there and they don't, you know, keep buff on them, and, you know, they just go straight over a piece. And maybe you don't, maybe the spot itself is the wall style is not exactly conducive for rolling paint or whatever. But here's where a lot of people get, you know, kind of butthurt and stuff like that, is when you don't go completely over who you went over, okay? So, you know, essentially you aren't covering who they were completely. So if you go over someone's name, right? If you go over their name, you can't go over it in parts. You can't just go like, okay, the piece is right here, and then you just have a little bit coming up, and they're coming out from behind it. It doesn't work like that. If you do that, they're going to be pissed off. You're going to be like, look, man, this is just basically a glorified mosquito bite. So what you need to do is you need to bring some extra, you come back with extra paint. If you're painting on a corrugated wall and you do a piece over a piece, and his piece is coming out the side, you can't roll over it, bust it over, burn it over with extra cans and stuff like that. Maybe you have some scraps laying around the house. You know, do some wobbles or some, or like some goo or something like that, or even just straight up bubbles. Cover that shit. Because honestly, if they see that, they're going to be real tight about it. And really, they're going to be coming and looking for you. And likely they're going to try to put hands and feet on you. You know what I'm saying? But, and it just depends really on how much they care about that stuff. But realistically, if you just take care of that, it's like being cleanly, you know what I'm saying? You know, cleanliness is next to godliness, and really they're gonna respect you more because you actually just put them where they don't look like they got egg on their face. Word. All right, another one too is clipping people's pieces. So let's just say you got a piece on the left and a piece on the right, and you're painting right in the middle, and you laid out your piece, but you didn't pay attention to the way you scaled your piece. And part of your piece clips over the guy to the side of you. Let's just say, you know, an arrow comes off and you basically go into the other's pieces. No, homeboy. Like literally that right there, they're going to be pissed off right there. It's like, yo, stay in your yard. Stay in your yard. You ain't got no reason to come over here where I'm at. You understand? You know, we didn't come here together. It looks like you are getting too tight with them. You see what I mean? So basically, when you sketch everything out and you put your outline up, if you see your shit getting within, I would say 2 feet. If your extension gets within 2 feet of the other guy's piece, you got to buff it over, man. Either you got to buff over the extension that you put over there, or you got to reconsider that extension, or, hey, man, charge it to the game. You got to buff your piece and move it over to the left or move it over to the right accordingly. And those kind of things like that, you know, that stuff is good for you. You know, people just like, man, I don't want to start over, man. Man, sometimes you got to start over. Sometimes you got to fix the thing by being willing to do it all over. And, you know, if you get too damn close to somebody's piece, man, they're going to get damn close to you. Do you understand? Remember that. Don't get too close to another person's piece and clip it, all right? So watch out for that one. Now, so let's just say you had intentions to paint a character next to your piece. Maybe at this point you've gone down the road a little bit and you buffed half into the other guy's piece that was next to you. And you don't do the character and his piece is half busted, guess what? They're gonna be pissed at you. So what do? Well, at this point, either A, go over his piece completely and then hook him up a nice piece himself, or B, go over it completely and write a message to him and say, yo, overtook my space. Sorry, here's a new background for you to go over. Because realistically, you probably put yourself in trouble right there. You probably should have stopped sometime before that. At that point, even if you had painted the character and you had left half his piece coming out, that's probably going to have been a problem right there. You might as well just keep buffing over his piece or what's left of it and just leave it open because, man, you done messed up at that point, son. Just remember that. Watch your scaling. Here's another one that tends to be a bit controversial. Not like these other ones weren't themselves, but it's a bit controversial because people don't really see a problem with some what we call over here, we call it spot jocking, okay? Spot jocking, which goes by another name of side busting. You know, sometimes a person gets a spot that everyone's been looking at, all right? Everyone drives on the highway and they see that spot and they're like, oh man, yo, one of these days I'm gonna go out there on that spot and do that spot. And they don't do it in time, and maybe some youngster or some veteran does it before they do. They go, ah, damn it, I wish I had done that spot sooner. There's a little more space up in the corner. There's enough space right there. Or the person who did it didn't do the whole spot and they left the section open. Man, I'm gonna tell you this, man. Sometimes you just didn't have good work ethic. You didn't get out there and you didn't get it done, all right? And someone who you thought that could have did it better, there it is, man. They did it already. A lot of times these youngsters will go out there and paint right up in the corner and they'll do that spot's side and they basically spot jock the first person to do it or the first person to do it right off to the corner. Man, that is whack, yo. That is capital W, whack. Like, I'm gonna tell you straight up, here's the thing, right? I know some of y'all probably did that shit. Some of y'all probably just said, man, fuck that, I'm gonna do it, you know, and later on, like, maybe the person that you spot jock didn't say nothing, right? But they remember you. They remember you did that. And a lot of other people, they think that too, you see? Another form of spot jocking, you'll do at a piece yard, right? You'll do it at a spot, you know, a Hall of Fame. They'll go above you and they'll do rollers or like some type of like floaters up high. Yo, I mean, this is my opinion. You know, maybe some people have no problem with it. It looks hella corny that you're doing throw-ups above, you know, maybe someone has a lightweight production or something like that. And hey, you want to do it, fine. But don't be surprised where some of these other dudes are really just like, yo, this fool is thirsty. It makes you look hella thirsty. You understand? Like when you go up there and you're like, nah, I got to get a little corner of that. And yo, you just took the L, homeboy. Realistically, you should probably just say, okay, with that same energy that pissed me off, I didn't get it, you know, that person got it, damn it. Go and fucking find 2 more spots somewhere else. Just go and that just should mean for you, like, all right, man, I should have been a little bit more proactive. I should have got out there and did the spot before them, but I didn't. So I'm just gonna go and find my own spots, 2 better ones. You know what I'm saying? And yo, salute to that guy who got that spot before me, man. I know I was looking at it, but hey, man, you had more days off. Word. Another one. Now this pertains to if you're out there, now you're already done with the walls and now you're pretty much out here doing trains now. Let's just say, all right, you're gonna go into the freight world. You got your wall game up. Now you're gonna go and do some freights. All right. You know, a lot of times freight spots, a lot of people got them. You know, a lot of people know about them, right? But every now and again you get lucky and you find a spot that very few people go to. And the people who do go to it, they coexist. You know, for the most part, a lot of them coexist. And when you are coexisting, there's a certain level of respect between each other to be able to use the yard where it doesn't mess it up for the other guy. And why does that matter? Well, it's the same thing as using your friend's bathroom at his house. You know what I'm saying? Let's just say this is not his house, but you're both trying to be respectful to a bathroom you both use, right? You don't leave anything behind in a train yard. Worst thing I see is a lot of these kids, they'll crack open a can and they'll leave the tops, or some of them will straight up leave the cans out there. Yo, if you leave a can in the yard, empty or full, honestly, you're playing yourself, all right? Most freight riders know to keep their stuff, leave no trace that they were ever there. The only thing they would ever leave is a piece on the train or whatever, and then the smell in the yard. That's it. You should not leave nothing, a bubblegum wrapper, nothing in that yard. You see what I'm saying? So as you go and you rock of whatever you rock, make sure you take all of it, put it back in your bag, bring it home with you. All you need to do is leave the piece. And another thing, so you don't want to blow up the spot for other riders in the train yard. Another thing you shouldn't do is you shouldn't go over the numbers on the train if you could, okay? There are many sophisticated ways to make it where you don't obstruct the numbers, and even the writing, like some of like the writing on the side of the train that is specifically for the logistics team or whatever, for the train, the rail company. You know, you got to try to avoid some of that or go around it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, it's good for your can control. Go around it. You know, leave it to where like it's readable. You know, maybe you don't have to go crazy like some of these real freight guys do. They bring out the masking tape and they cut it all out and they leave the numbers all pretty and perfect and all that kind of stuff. Not that I have anything against that. It's very sharp of them to do that if they want to do that. But if you just want to get it off, don't go over the numbers if you can. Why? Because the people in the railway, right, the actual workers, after a while, they're gonna be like, man, they keep going over these damn numbers. They keep messing this shit up. We need to boost up the yard bulls in here. We need to actually boost up the security. And guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna come in there gallivanting in the damn yard, and they're gonna look at you like, finally we caught the kid who was going over all these numbers. And it's not the guy. It's actually one of the guys who was observing not going over the numbers, and he gets busted because you a dirty motherfucker. You understand? So try not to go over the numbers or any of that stuff, all right? Here's another controversial take, all right? Now, you know, after all these years in the game, and you know, I'm gonna have to say a bunch of these disclaimers, right? A lot of these disclaimers is, you know, there's gonna be guys on here watching this and they're gonna be like, I don't have to listen to nothing you say, man. Graffiti, oh, you're gonna impose rules on criminal activity? I'm like, yeah. Well, from one crook to another crook, there's rules, all right? So I'm gonna tell you, all right? Never, ever turn down a fade. Don't ever turn down the fade. Why? Because you say, well, why am I, you know, I don't feel like I have to fist fight you or something like that. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You see? Here's the thing. One of the unspoken rules, and this is probably since the damn 70s, if you get into a beef, graffiti beef, it is our rules to catch you and you catch these hands. Do you understand? Like, that's a fact. Like, I know you are saying to yourself, like, nah, I'll just, you know, whatever. I'll just keep tagging over them. Yeah, you keep tagging. And what, you know, yeah, you keep dissing, but it's gonna be, I mean, you saw in Beach Street, you know, when Ramo finally caught Spit, they ended up getting some fisticuffs. And you got to prepare that, because really, somebody trying to deal out a knuckle sandwich for you. You know what I'm saying? They got 2 of them, full size, ready for you. You know what I'm saying? And you should always make that assumption. Now, here's the other part, right? That, you know, it may be obvious to you that, yeah, that somebody's going to want to have a fight with you, right? Never make the assumption. Never make the assumption that a piecer is soft and won't whoop your ass, all right? And don't always make the assumption that I'm a fucking bomber, that he can fight. Because a lot of times, you might be completely surprised by the fact that some of these pretty, you know, painterly piecers can deal out a ass whooping that you never expected. And ready to do it. You done thought, well, you're being an anarchist. You being a tough guy. You out there, you got your fixed gear bike, you got your bike chain and all this kind of stuff like that. You feel like, oh, if anybody wants it, snick, you pop out a little extension baton or whatever, and you feel like you're tough. Then you find that some of these dudes, you know, they actually can deal out a whooping on you and paint a whole piece in pinks and right after whooping your ass. So don't make the assumption, okay? Don't make the assumption that a guy that, oh man, all he does is bomb, you know, he himself, he ain't ready for the fisticuff himself. You know, yeah, just because he can't rock a burner don't mean that he can't square up with you and deal out some knuckles. You understand what I'm saying? So always be prepared for a fade. Because if there's ever a misunderstanding that a verbalized conversation can't get sorted, then guess what? You're going to be no truth than a thumping going on to get that truth all the way across. You got that? All right. And finally, you know, one of the rules that's pretty basic and very, very difficult to attain is to gain your local history. All right. Now, you don't got to learn the history of every single, you know, it's nice if you can learn the history from New York and all this kind of stuff like that. You know, that's more like you should just gather it because of you love graffiti and now you'll understand why stuff happens and style had came out from where it came out from learning the New York history. That's the Mecca, right? But where you're from, right? If you're from Chicago, you should study some of the vets and try to learn the history of these vets out there who have basically put it down for you before you ever was even thinking to go out and do what you do in the streets over there, let's just say, right? And the difficulty of it, of learning the history in places like that, is it's not readily available. It's not readily available, and you find yourself, you gotta ask around. Asking around is just, like, you could find yourself closed door after closed door after closed door trying to get all the information to be able to learn your history and shit. Even as I say it, it almost comes off like it sounds like a narc in a way, but realistically, try your best. And I know it's hard to do, okay? I know it's hard to do. That's why some of these things, like this video I'm doing, is trying to help some of these youngsters. Remember, I'm 36 years of doing this. And after all these years, you know, I've learned so much. And a lot of it is just from being respectful. One way one of the ways to actually become a respectful writer is to learn how to find and seek out the things that made the vets and try to seek them out and offer a classy way of being like, look, you know, I'm young. I'd like to know about what made, you know, Boston writing history dope. You know what I'm saying? You know, I ain't on nobody's jock or nothing like that, but I am trying to like get my, you know, get my full understanding and not be malnourished about what this whole graffiti game is about that I'm over here and I'm swimming in and I'm falling in love with. So seek out your history if you can. And if you are able to do that, most of these things that I've already told you about in this video, right? And I've only touched on some of them, but most of these things that I've touched on, they're gonna make a lot of sense, kid, a lot of sense. And I really hope that they do, because whether you listen to me or not, I don't care. You understand? Like maybe you're still saying, there's guys right now angry at the screen right now. You know, your glasses is foggy. And you're like, yeah, I don't have to listen to you. There's no rules to this. No.
Motherfucker.
There are, okay? There are rules to this. And you'll find, break any one of those ones I said, oh, you're going to start finding, maybe you won't get checked on the first one. Maybe you don't get checked on the second or third. But you will, sooner or later, someone's going to be like, yo, this kid's all bad, man. We ain't fucking with you. And you may realize, damn, people ain't fucking with me. Well, yeah, because you keep stepping on this unsaid rules that we all agree upon. So, now if these, you know, suggestions, right? You call them rules, but I like to call them suggestions from an old guy like me, right? If these help you in any way, try and observe them if you can. You know what I'm saying? Maybe pass the word around. But realistically, man, I'm just a road sign in your life, man. I'm just telling you there's a cliff over there. So you can listen to me or not. You understand? Most of these advice that people are getting on here, they're getting them from some no-namer. Get it from me, Mr. Totem, Tats Crew. You understand what I'm saying? So that's it. Do me a favor. Share this with any of your friends, you know, see what they think, you know. Hit me them little like and subscribe things or all that kind of stuff like that. You know, the stuff that they all say. Apparently it helps. I'm still new to this too, and I'm just thinking of all the things that I would have to tell my son about how to be good at some of these things that we love so much. And there's a whole lot of repercussions if you don't observe it. So this should make your world a little bit better if you want to listen to me. Or you don't have to. It's all good. Make up your own mind. Mr. Totem out. Take care.